I feel as if though the older and older I get, the less I enjoy things I used to love as a kid. Sure, there are some things I do like about Halo Infinite. The grappling hook was cool, and the story was better than Halo 5's, but that's not saying that much. But there was no split screen, even though we were promised split screen. The progression system was terrible. There was way too many microtransactions. It didn't launch with Forge added, and there's also a whole bunch of other problems with it. Overwatch 2 somehow created a system even worse than loot boxes. Now you have to play and do certain things to actually get what you bought. The game didn't really feel like a sequel, it felt more like a DLC or a patch update. Maybe if they launched it with players versus enemies, you could call it a sequel, but they didn't do that. Overwatch, give me my story mode. I want my story mode. Also, I have to create an account and give a lot of my personal information just to play this game. I'm really nervous that in the future, this is going to become the norm. As for movies and TV shows, oh god, where to start? None of these IPs are being treated with respect. From what happened to Marvel, to Star Wars, to Willow for some reason, to Terminator, to Rings of Power, to Witcher going way downhill. Like, I haven't seen Avatar: The Way of Water yet, but from what I've heard, it literally just repeats the same plot as last time. So combining TV shows with video games sounds like it will be an awful idea. And for the longest time it was. The live-action Super Mario Bros. Movie, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, the Resident Evil movies, and just so many more. Video games are rushed out, but they're live service, so as time goes on, they'll fix a few of the mistakes. CGI has also gone downhill in recent years, but don't worry, they promise they'll fix it later. But surprisingly, video game shows are starting to get really good. Now sure, they're not all bangers, but there's two I really love, Arcane and cyberpunk edgerunners. In fact, I think video game adaptations will be the thing that replaces superhero movies. Let's start with cyberpunk edgerunners, which ties in as a prequel to Cyberpunk 2077. The game had a pretty awful release, but it slowly started gaining a good reputation. But when the anime released, its sales started to skyrocket again. I think we're gonna start seeing this more and more in the future.
Oh no, your video game sold horribly because you rushed it out? And now you're trying to fix all the problems slowly over time through patches, but your main audience has left? Well, just make a tie-in movie or show to get the audience hyped again. And remember, actually make it good this time.
Cyberpunk Edgerunners was made by one of my favorite anime studios of all time. The same studio that made Gurren Lagann, which is one of my top 5 favorite animes of all time. And they also made Kill la Kill, which is... okay.
I swear you're one cheeky cunt, mate.
Now, people loved the hell out of Cyberpunk Edgerunners. There's so many reviews on YouTube praising the shit out of it. But do I like this show as much as everyone else did? Well, not quite. Whoa, calm down. Don't get me wrong, it's a very great show, but I don't like it as much as everybody else did, mainly because I've let the hype die down and I've seen it twice. First, let me go over what I liked about this show. The animation is phenomenal. Sure, they do reuse backgrounds here and there, and there's the occasional animation error. But then again, this is from the same studio who did Kill la Kill and Gurren Lagann, so what did you expect? They really know how to do extremely detailed and fast fight scenes. And I would say this animation is their best work yet. And before you say that things that come out in the future are gonna look better than things in the past, Kill la Kill in my opinion was a downgrade from Gurren Lagann. The music is great, the characters are great. Well, everyone except for Kiwi. She was kind of just a clone of the main love interest. And I also didn't like the music as much as I liked the music in Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill. Okay, there are plenty of reviews of this show out there that go over its strengths. But I think this show is getting praised so much because we've had so much trash recently. It's kind of like having blueberry pancakes with maple syrup after you've had nothing but buttered toast for the last month. This show is blueberry pancakes, and modern Star Wars and Marvel is buttered toast. The plot of the show isn't bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not really anything spectacular. And yes, I do like the characters, I just wish we got to spend a little bit more time with them. And I think this show's biggest disadvantage is it only had one season. Kill la Kill and Gurren Lagann had 2. And also, this show didn't exactly have free range to do what it wanted to, because it was a prequel. But at the same time, I think it gives this show its biggest strength. There's a lot of character death in this. It would be easier to list the amount of characters who don't die than do. Now, character death in shows is a controversial topic. Some people really don't like it, and often it does really damage the writing of a series. There's a character you come to love, and now he's gone forever. Or he comes back to life in some stupid way. While I don't think character death should be the norm, it's so rare that whenever it does happen, it's a breath of fresh air to me. Now let's talk about Rebecca. Just like with Ryuko and Yoko, this studio really knows how to make characters that everyone simps over.
Okay, it's worth it.
They already did the hot girl with a sniper rifle, who by the way is actually 14. They did another hot girl who's a tomboy. But what's different about Rebecca compared to the last 2? Yeah, she's another hot girl who uses guns, but what else is there? Well, to get people to simp for her, they made her into a simp. She's absolutely infatuated with David, and I think the moment when people fell in love with her character is when she said, "Hey, I ain't good at playing just friends." Now it's time to point out the elephant in the room. Is Rebecca a lolly?
Cunny love is cunny life. One day I hope for a cunny wife.
You sick fuck. Not everything has to be so goddamn horny with you.
You need to cool it.
She's short, flat-chested, very petite, but she got a nice ass and a few tattoos. Canonically, she isn't underage, but Ryuko and Yoko are. And they look a little bit more developed than she does. Now don't get me wrong, grown women can look like kids. I know a girl who's older than me who looks like she's in fucking middle school. I'm not gonna share what my opinion is because no matter what it is, I'm gonna be taken out of context and people are gonna try to make me look like a pedo. But it is funny seeing the discourse around this with people saying, "No, she isn't a lolly! She's canonically not underaged!" And other people just saying back to them, "Ah yes, the 3,000-year-old vampire argument." But the studio did say the lolly must stay. Other people said this was just a joke. The point is, about half of the discussion around this show is Rebecca a lolly or not? And I just find that to be hilarious.
Rebecca-chan. You're so cute, but alas, I cannot fap to you, because masturbating to underage anime characters is
Haram.
Now let's move on to Arcane. I liked Arcane a lot more than Cyberpunk Edgerunners, but it does have one noticeable flaw. The first 2 episodes are pretty generic. It's a generic cyberpunk, steampunk world, complete with zeppelins. The plot kind of feels generic and slow at the start, and the animation, I didn't like it at first. But then something happened in episode 3. I don't want to spoil it, but it was just as big of an oh shit moment as the ending to episode 1 of Invincible. There is a time skip, and technology and magic work together as one, greatly advancing their society. However, as any scientist knows, technology is not only our greatest savior, but it's also our ultimate doom. Sure, advancing technology will help the wealth of a nation, giving them better tools, improving automation, opening up new trade routes, and other things like that. However, these things can be used as weapons of war, used by the police against citizens, and also used by terrorists to send out their message. Sure, a plane is great for transportation, but what if someone uses it to ram into a building? Bombs are great for excavation, but what happens when militaries start using it as a weapon? What happens if a terrorist gets their hands on a nuke? Sure, nuclear fusion and fission has produced more energy than any method we have at our disposal, but it's something that could also end all life on the planet. Arcane takes this concept and runs with it. It's a question that very few shows tackle, and even fewer shows do right. It does it right because we get multiple different perspectives about it. It's not trying to say we should just be cautious about this or just keep advancing it and let things work themselves out. Heimerdinger is hundreds of years old, and he's seen the damage that magic can do to the world. There's another guy who was born with a bad leg, and he has a disease that's slowly killing him. He can't wait. He needs the technology to save him now. And the scientist who came up with the idea to combine magic with technology is torn between what to do. He doesn't know what the future will hold. Should he slow down on advancing technology, be more cautious and make sure it doesn't go wrong? Or should he be more risky, saving more people in the long run, but at the same time risking the lives of several people? Just like in real life, there's a lot of questions and theories about this, and no one truly knows the right answer. Those who claim to do are just arrogant. And I also love how the show handles politics and the differences between the rich and the poor. Most shows, especially the ones coming out nowadays, think they have a simple solution to wealth disparity. No, you can't perfectly liquidize the wealth of the richest man in the world and make everybody else a millionaire. Taking the net worth of every single billionaire will only pay for the government for less than a year. There's this scene in Harley Quinn season 3 where Joker becomes mayor, and he has a plan for free college in Gotham City by increasing the property tax of evil heirs by 0.5%. Increasing the property tax by 0.5% for everyone, not just the rich, would not pay for fucking college. Also, the mayor doesn't have that kind of power, but I want to go over to Harley Quinn's show in a different video. The point I'm trying to make is this show shows what the poor have to go through and the conditions they live in, the ignorance that some rich people have about them, and how different people and factions want to deal with this situation. Some people in the upper city want to increase the police force and crush the poor undercity underneath their boot, or just increase the security at their border. As for the undercity, some of them don't care. Some of them turn to drugs. Some of them turn to theft. Others create terrorist groups. There are those who are trying to find a peaceful solution, but unfortunately political corruption is rampant, and politicians don't have as much power as, well, we think they do. If you try to change too much, you can get kicked out of the council, or worse, you could be assassinated. I just kept on expecting Falcon to fly down, point, and say, "You gotta do better, Senator!" There are many great characters in this show, but no one is really the main character. Everybody gets their own time to shine. There's also not really a villain. You can even see where the leader of the terrorist group is coming from. He's been pushed around enough. He's seen too many people suffer, and the upper city is far more at fault than he ever was. The fight scenes are great, the music is great, it goes over trauma and mental illness. I could keep going on more and more about how this show is near perfection, but don't take my word for it, go check it out for yourself. But what I like most about Cyberpunk Edgerunners and Arcane is it does diversity the right way. Now, a lot of people don't like that I've been going back to talking about identity politics, and I understand where those people are coming from. It can get annoying when people talk about it all the time, but there are two reasons why I've been talking about it. Number one, it's everywhere nowadays. Every time I try to sit down and enjoy a show, it just has to be brought up. And the other reason is because it's making me more money. And before someone makes the stupid argument, well, everything is political, you can't really compare the politics in Papers, Please to Pong. Do you know what else is political? The two shows that I literally just went over. Sorry to go on a rant, but I just hate it when I say, there's just so much politics in media nowadays. And then another guy goes, oh, everything's political, it always has been. You're just now noticing it cause you're older. Bro, you know what I fucking mean. In Cyberpunk 2077, half of the team is made up of women. The main character is Latino, the leader of the group is black. His cybernetic doctor who gives him his enhancements is West Indian, although I've been told that term is now offensive to some people. I can't keep up with Zoomer culture. And it shows us, not just tells us, the evils of capitalism. But I don't feel like I'm being preached to about it. Like, there's not 5 moments, let alone one, where a character stands up and just starts preaching about how the wealth have so much, and the poor would be off so much better if they just gave up a little bit of their wealth. People are smart, they can figure shit out on their own. You don't have to spell everything out for them. And you could also say that Arcane does this as well. Now granted, a lot of characters do explain their ideology, but every ideology is given its fair shake. There's no strawmanning here. And do you guys remember my video on diversity, the right and wrong ways to do it? Well, there's a black woman on the council, and they didn't need to do this, but they explained that she's from a different land. Oh, so that's why she's in a majority white kingdom. And now we can assume the same thing for the other races of human and the other species of humanoid things walking around. Now I'm excited to see the kingdom she's from in the future and what cultures and traditions they hold. This is a hell of a lot better than The Witcher and Rings of Power just sprinkling minorities in there who stand in the background for the most part. Can't wait for some people to twist this into me wanting segregation, even though I want things to represent reality and show off different cultures, not just the generic European fantasy we keep seeing. Caitlyn, the sniper girl, is a lesbian, but it's inserted naturally. When you look at trailers on YouTube for things like She-Hulk, Woman King, and other things from Hollywood like that. You'll notice they get a lot of dislikes, but for some reason, the trailer for Arcane and cyberpunk edgerunners don't have that many dislikes at all. Most people don't have a problem with diversity in movies, or if there's a lesbian character, or if the main character is a female who beats up men. As much as people like Diregentleman pretend they do. I covered his terrible Arcane takes in this video, go check it out. What people actually hate is overpowered Mary Sue's being preached to, because no one likes being preached to, and this constant using women and minorities as a shield from criticism. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot, being preached to that capitalism is bad from the richest companies in the world. Now there was an era where westerns conquered TV and movies. There was one for vampires, zombies, and for the longest time, it's been superheroes. But I think video game adaptations will be the next big thing. Oh yeah, and I guess Sonic 1 and 2 was also pretty good. Turns out Ellis Mark was right. Them changing Sonic's design really did save the movie.